Director's Take, talking tanks and upcoming hero balance changes. Hey everyone, it's been a bit since our last Director's Take. We've missed a few of these in the recent months. Sorry for the gap. Speaking to all of you will continue to be a priority for our team. Let's talk about tanks. Let me phrase that. A lot of you are talking about tanks. I like to contribute from a developer point of view. We've heard from players that a tank role is a tough spot right now and has been since Season 8 ended. We agree. That's not to say that tanks were in the perfect spot before Season 9, but the problem now is that most of them just don't feel as tanky as they should. Nerf the DPS passive. So we can actually keep them up. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. 15%. Nerf the DPS passive. Problem solved. Fixed. It is fixed. Make it 17.5%. Make it 70%. Make it 15%. Don't increase it to 20% and then go like, why are they dying? I'm wondering, guys. What is happening? What is that? I don't know. This is the DPS passive. We're increasing it and then they're dying. Anyway, many times, both support heroes need to focus solely on the tank just to keep them alive. Yes, and they will stay alive, kind of, until we have to reload. Another solution, increase support ammo. Whenever I reload, they die. More bullets. Not necessarily increasing the healing overall like the numbers, but more bullets. More bullets, so faster reload. This is why we're seeing Lucio being played, because he heals just by existing. This is why we're seeing Baptiste being played, because he has enough bullets and AoE healing all around him. And this is why we see Kiriko's being played, because she can just TP out in case like you play with Mauga comps and stuff. And the Fox is one of the strongest ultimates in the game still, you know? So this is why Kiri's being played. But it's Baptiste and Lucio non-stop, because they have enough resources to keep up with how much damage is happening in the game right now. Anyway. In this scenario, both the tank and supports can feel like they have limited options in their gameplay as they are essentially tied to each other. Agreed. Our internal stats show this as well. We've come up with a new metrics in Season 9 that we simply call tankiness. It's roughly the number of deaths a hero experiences compared to how many deaths they ought to experience. There are a lot of stats that go into determining what an expected death is, but I'm not able to go into that level of detail here. The point is that your experience and our data are aligned. Okay, so literally, they have a Feeding Freddy statistic. They have a Feeding Freddy statistic. Expected feeding. And then after that, you become a Feeding Freddy. Alright? So, it's an amount of times that you will probably die. It does make sense if you think about it. It's games in which you win with perfect support positioning. Like I post every season at twitch.tv/ML7support. It was actually the YouTube link, youtube.com/ML7support, with a lot of minutes. Are games in which like I don't die, and those are anomalies when they happen. Like it's so rare, you know, with having perfect support positioning. Especially like if you're playing tank, you're bound to take space, you're bound to trade, you're bound to die and trade and stuff. But of course there are some times when you do this that you're gonna be dying maybe a little bit more. Like for example, last game I died 3 times in 3 minutes. I'm dying too much. I was a Feeding Freddy. I was not expecting the tankiness. Anyway, moving on. They can check this, okay? But please, give us stats with healing received and damage taken. Pretty please. That will solve so many issues. You're gonna see why the enemy team won, why your team lost, why you won, why the enemy team lost, and also you can compare across ratings how much damage, Silver Reinhardt is taking versus how much damage Hadi or Cloudy is taking, and they're still winning in GM1. You know what I mean? When playing Reinhardt. I wanna see that. That would be amazing. Pretty please. Okay, I'm stopping that because I'm pushing it. Anyway. Since Season 9, almost all heroes in the game have become less tanky. Wait, isn't this like when they increased everybody's HP pool? This isn't all unintended. Wait, let me keep on reading. One of the issues we were addressing at the time was the sheer amount of burst damage and healing available. However, most tanks, excluding Ball, who is roughly the same, moved a lot further than heroes in the other goals. Recent changes, like the headshot damage reduction on tanks, had some effect on this, but it's still under where we'd like it to be. We still like many of the game-wide changes that were implemented over the last few seasons. Wait. So, wait. The game has become less tanky. They define tanky as tankiness as number of deaths expected. So probably what he's saying is almost all heroes die more than before. Right? That is what he's saying. Almost all heroes die more than before. Translation. Although the intention to the entire point of Season 9 was to reduce one-shot so you don't die that often, and now you're dying more. So one-shots weren't the problem. Okay, let's continue. Anyway, we still like many of the game-wide changes that were implemented over the last few seasons. The projectile size increase, the headshot damage and knockback reduction on tanks, and the passive health regeneration on all heroes. However, what we're currently discussing is whether the path forward from here should be centered around broad, systematic changes or per hero changes. DPS passive. We've been discussing limited versions of the former. For instance, we're looking at reduced versions of the damage roll passive! I misclicked that, but that's for DPSs. Reduced versions of this. Again, however, we'd like to do more of the latter. Individual buffs or nerfs to heroes that can have a dramatic impact on their effectiveness compared to a broad change that targets all heroes or a role. Why take the easier route when you can do the complicated one? Additionally, it further reinforces the differences between heroes. For example, one of the reasons Reinhardt ought to feel tanky is through his shield. How does this relate to tanks? Reinhardt doesn't feel tanky sometimes through his shield because everybody has more HP. If they have more HP, they can poke a little bit more for free damage. Like, for example, I can play Baptiste against Hanzo and jump because I'm not going to get one shot because he's going to do 40 damage and not going to get instantly deleted because they remove kind of like one shots all across the board almost. So, of course, the shield will be spammed a little bit faster than before because I have more room to work with. How does this relate to tanks? We're putting together a patch that is targeted at increasing the tankiness of many of these heroes, but we're doing it through individual changes to each of them. Ideally, these changes would build on a hero's fantasy. Increasing the health of Reinhardt's shield is a good example of accomplishing both of those goals. This is a priority for a balanced team. And right now we're targeting either mid-season 11 or season 12. We'll have more details of some of the changes to expect and more concrete timing soon. So, what I'm getting out of this is they want to increase shields. At least on Reinhardt. Right? Is what I'm getting out of this. So shield is gonna have more HP. So what we were all chatting about back in Overwatch 1 about double shield and you're stuck shooting the shield the entire game and you're not having fun because you're shooting the shield will happen again? Because you have two shields that are weaker in Overwatch 1, for example, like Sigma and Orisa, but now I'm just speculating. Maybe they're gonna buff shields in such a way that's gonna feel the same as 2 shields a while ago. Anyway. Ideally, these changes, okay, we went through this. This touches on some discussions that we've been having about balance philosophy in general. Balance in the game is a very nuanced and doesn't depend on the total power level or win rate of a hero. We look at pick rate, skill tier, region, and platform, not to mention a myriad of other individual stats like the amount of damage, deaths, and kills heroes have. On top of stats, design goals and community perception also guide our decisions. Some of the recent metas have brought into question the different ways we look at balancing heroes that could be considered niche. There are heroes that the community is okay with having both at high win rate and a high pick rate. When Reinhardt hits a 60% win rate, which is considered very high for us, and is played often, there are a few complaints. I mean, chat, hear me out. There are a lot of heroes that I don't mind like being meta for a long time. But if Reinhardt is meta, for me, what this means is that Lucio will be played non-stop. Lucio will be played non-stop. If you don't have Lucio, you're probably going to play at a huge disadvantage. And then you're going to need to play Baptiste. And playing Lucio, Baptiste, and Reinhardt non-stop is not that fun. When a hero like Roadhog does this, he recently topped out at around 54%. The community reacts differently. Differently. There are heroes that the community deems more fair, or at least less frustrating than others. The mechanics of some heroes, especially at really high levels of play, requires us to pay more attention to them. We still want every hero to be competitively viable, and we love that some of our heroes can be right situational pick, but we think it's healthier for the game for us to proactively and in a more timely manner manage certain heroes and prevent them from dominating. I'd like to see stats. I agree with what Chad is saying. I would like to see stats on stuff like this, but what I'm getting out of this is that, for example, if a certain meta is happening, if you want the meta to change and stuff, then we just gotta go like, I don't like this meta. This meta sucks, this meta is bad, I can't do anything, blah, 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 blah. And eventually, they're gonna be disregarding stats, maybe, and literally complain. So, I'm starting this. Ana is literally unplayable. We can't play Ana, you cannot play Ana. Ana, you can't play Ana, it's so hard. Ana. Is this what's gonna happen? So they say that if when Reinhardt is meta, very few complaints. When Hog is meta, different complaints. But I want everybody to remember something though. In the OWCS map 7 at the Dallas Major, I forgot the name of the tank though. I think it was map 7. It was on Oasis. When the tank picked Hog, everybody in the crowd went like, oh, just putting that out there. Everybody, no, there was like, oh, they picked Roadhog, Junbin. Yeah, exact, Junbin. Everybody was like, oh my god, Hog! And it worked. It worked. So, I don't know. Overwatch, you gotta play with a lot of heroes, my opinion. Gotta then, it's like, for me, let's say, personally, I don't like playing against D.Va's defense matrix. I understand D.Va's defense matrix, I understand its purpose in the game. I can play around it. Do I enjoy playing around it? No, I don't. I'm honest. I don't enjoy landing a sick nade or a sick sleep or getting in a good position. Then D.Va just does this and can hold this for, I don't know, 5 seconds or whatever. I have enough time to go and finish, I don't know, a second college or something, and then defense matrix is still up. It's really big and stuff, but I understand that and I adapt. Okay, I can't play and I can't do that. I'm gonna go, I don't know, popper. I'm gonna change my playstyle. I'm gonna look for defensive nades. I'm gonna adapt. I'm not gonna sit there and go like, D.Va defense matrix. Maybe I should do this. In that vein, I mean, I do that, but not that much. Maybe I gotta do it more. In that vein, where is balance in the first few days of Season 11? Ooh. On the tank side, there is no standout winner with D.Va, Sigma, Winston, Junker Queen, Reinhardt, and Zarya in the upper half. Their win rates are between 50 to 55%. D.Va, Sigma, Winston, Junker Queen, Reinhardt, and Zarya in the upper half. But we're buffing Rein. I've seen some Junker Queen being played here and there. I think they're speaking about like all ratings and stuff. I think that in GM, it's a little bit hard to play with Junker Queen though. You're gonna get poked out a lot. But I gotta have a Mauga, for example. Interesting with Mauga. Like Mauga requires a lot of team play. So Hog doesn't have that big win rate is what I'm getting out of this. Anyway. With damage, Farah continues to excel at around 58%, Reaper at 55%, Mei at 50% have risen, and Sojourn has dramatically fallen around 44%. All supports are relatively stable, with Illari being the biggest mover, rising a few percentage points to 55%. To be fair, the Illari buffs, I've seen a lot of Illaris recently in ranked, and they're getting some pretty good value out of Illari, right? They're not off-angling as hard as before. The changes that they did to her, which encourage you to put your pylon more used so that your allies can use it a little bit more than you can, because if a DPS 1v1s you, you get a DPS passive. I think you get like, what, half of the healing from the pylon plus the DPS passive. That's going to be like, what, 19, 20 healing, I think, in the duel. You can't do that anymore. You're encouraged to play more with your team. It's interesting with Illari over here. And also the pylon is not destroyed as much as before. But I don't know about, for example, Mercy win rate or Life Weaver win rate. I'm not seeing, like, at least in GM games, the strongest picks are almost always Baptiste, Lucio. Maybe you see some Brig on some maps. And I'm forcing Ana non-stop, but I have 7,000 hours on Ana. So I'm playing Ana non-stop, but if you... I don't know about Life Weaver win rate. I don't know about Kiriko win rate. I'm not seeing a lot of Kiriko, by the way. You know? All the goals get 4 to 5 here as mentioned. Supports only 1 like usual. Middle child. Supports are the middle child. I swear. That's it for this week. We should have another director's take out in a few weeks' time. Until then, have an amazing Season 11 and let's make a great game. Okay, so I kind of like went through each paragraph and stuff. Let's see what I gotta be doing in the future. I do think that maybe they gotta look at a DPS passive, and I don't know, do they not have the technology to make it 17.5%, 16%, 17%? Does it just go like from 5 to 5 to 5 to 5 and stuff like that? Like, it's just like they threw stats, they said they're gonna buff tanks, they're giving some reasoning behind that, and the fact that we still want every hero to be competitive viably. We love that viable. We love that some of our heroes can be the right situational pick, but we think it's healthier for the game for us to proactively manage certain heroes and prevent them from dominating. You know, prevent them from dominating. I was mean on Twitter. Den was mean on Twitter, smiley face. I want to see how mean Den was on Twitter. What is happening? Whole bunch of nothing. Nerf the DPS passive back to 15%. That solves part of the problem while keeping DPS powerful and able to cut with the healing when they're hitting their shots. Oh, that is not mean. I will not click on this. I'm a professional content creator. We've heard that. Yeah, exactly. Just, can we get some claps for Den? Agreed. I think it's the simplest change. Like, why look again? Wait, so it's season 11. We've went through some big changes since season 9. We've been through some big changes since season 9. We've had time to adjust, to understand how much damage we have to do, how much hitting we gotta do and stuff like that. And I think it was okay-ish when it was at 15%. Yeah, some heroes were weaker, some heroes were stronger at 15%, but at 20% of every game, almost feel like an uphill battle. Tanks to take space, right? Because otherwise they're gonna die, and supports to actually try to keep them alive, and it's getting boring, you know? Because then you reload, you die, and then you go like, the fuck do you want me to do, bro? You know what I mean? What do you want me to do? So, personally, it's been what? Season 9 was what? 3, 4, 5 months ago. Reverted to 15%, or 17.5, meet us halfway. We have a negotiation. See afterwards what happens, because maybe in season 9, like when they first released the DPS passive, it was at 15%. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it at 15% at the beginning, or was it at 20% and then they nerfed it to 15%? I think it also might have been the novelty behind the passives and stuff. Maybe we did not know how to play around with it. You know? Maybe we did not know like why some heroes were stronger than others. It was 20% and 15% and 20%. There you go. So at the beginning, everybody was like, okay, too strong, then 15%, then okay, it's too weak. At 15%, things still died. Yep, it still did. It still did. I agree with you. I think enough time has passed that we can play around the DPS passive being at 15% or at 17.5%. And I don't think that when it was at 15%, we were going like, nobody is dying, everybody is too tanking and stuff. Everybody is just way too tanky. That would help everybody. That would help literally everybody. 15% was fine, 20% is too oppressive on both roles because the DPS passive affects both tanks, supports, and DPSs to a certain extent, you know, with that. Because consistent damage or high burst damage might be more. I don't know. 15% or 17.5%. See how the game feels. But apparently their approach is going to be in the future. They say what? Mid-season 11 or season 12 would be this. As a support chat, I'm just saying my experience is that I'm just sitting most of the game and I'm healing and I'm waiting for the ultimate. I am having moments in games in which I'm looking at the enemy team support when they're reloading to decide if I can damage or heal. I'm not kidding. I am literally looking to see if they're missing a shot, and then I'm like, ooh, I can land a heal, I can do some damage and contribute to that. I think this would be the simplest solution and stuff. But let's see the changes. And just as a reminder with all of this, making shields tankier and stuff will just bring more spam and stuff, and it's gonna turn around and I'm stuck shooting shields. You know, like, which is what a lot of people were saying when we had double shield meta. You're stuck shooting shields. We'll see how it's gonna go. Pretty surprised though with, I mean, I'm not that surprised. Pharah has been super strong at 15%. Pharah is really hard to deal with. A lot of mobility. I feel like she does a little bit too much damage. A little bit too much damage. Reaper and Mei are kind of surprising, but Sojourn like dropping to 44%. These tanks, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of tanks being played. Depends on the player, and if it's in the top 2-3 tanks that they're playing, then they're gonna do pretty well if they pick them on the right maps and stuff. And over here for supports, I don't know about this. Like, yes, I'm seeing Eli being played a little bit more, but I'm more checking every game Lifeweaver. I'm not kidding. More checking every game Lifeweaver. Rarely see Mercy. I kind of like rarely see Kiriko. Forcing Ana is pretty hard, but again, like I have thousands of hours on Ana, so Moira, I'm not seeing Moira being played that much. Regularly being played. Zen being also regularly played. And that's about it. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this blog post, chatting chatters, and viewing viewers. And if you enjoy the content, don't forget to drop a subscribe on YouTube. Till next time, ML7 out.